Great. You made it. As always, I'm excited to have you. Nervous about what you're going to say, but I'm here for it. See, because Question Time was founded on a longing for us to talk to one another through open dialogue, active listening, and the sharing of opinions and facts. See, we strive to move past the texting and get back to the good old days. You know, the days where audible words were used to convey a message and talk to people. I know, it's scary, but we can do it together. Now, there are a few things that are required before we start. One, we will be respectful, considerate, and courteous. We will also know that feelings might get hurt because not everybody agrees with everybody. But when all is said and done, we will leave not in hate, but in love and understanding. Number two, you can join the live by clicking the link pinned. Note that you do need to share the join, unless it's one of those pop on, pop off type of shows. However, if you plan to be on the panel for a prolonged period of time, and you know what I mean, be kind and share the show to your page. See, this shows us that you want your people to chime in, that you support our growth, and that you are encouraging us to press on to being a brilliantly successful show. Now, if you can't do that for Question Time's expansion, we get it, we understand. But you also have to understand that you can comment in the comment section. Cry about it to your mom. Okay? Now, let's get started. Raw News No Fluff presents to you Question Time with me, your host, Brandy Grant. I'll be back in 1 minute. Hi. Some technical difficulties. I can't seem to find this thing on Facebook. Why is it? I think I put in the comment section um on YouTube, but this is weird. I can't find this thing. I don't know. Okay. Give me a moment. I know it hasn't been that long since I've been live, right? Okay. Okay. I don't know. I don't know how this happened, but there you go. There's the link to join. Um, oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. Okay. I pinned the link to go live or to join the live. I don't know which way is up right now. Something weird has happened in my life. Let's talk ephahs and dracmas. I thought that was pretty darn clever, if I do say so myself. We're talking mega churches. I did have a a question of the day type of thing going. But I decided I'm just, just gonna talk mega churches today. And this conversation is Tim. I don't remember who I was talking to. I'm sorry, I'm talking very quickly. I don't remember exactly who I was talking to regarding mega churches, but it was a good conversation. So I was like, let me dibble dabble a little further. Welcome, Ashley. Hi, Ashley. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, good. Oh, I did the wrong thing. How do I turn my volume up? Okay. Um, so I'm sure you, as you know, we're talking mega churches. So let's talk mega churches. And this is not to drag churches or anything because I believe in churches. I believe I go to church, darn it. So we're not talking like mega churches are bad or whatever. But I was doing some research and it's interesting the information that's well for me it was interesting the information about the churches. So what are your thoughts on mega churches? How many people do you think make up make a mega church? Let me ask that first.
I don't know. That's a good question. I would say mega church has they're in the at least 1,000 or more. I would consider it a mega church.
Okay, 1,000 or more. Um, how many mega churches do you think are in just the U.S.?
I have no idea. I wouldn't say too many, maybe 100 or less.
Okay. What if I told you there are 1,800?
Oh, okay. I mean, well, I was only thinking black churches, so I could see that. I could see it
Yeah.
being higher, not that high, but still a little higher. Because I didn't even think about other denominations. Yeah, I didn't even go that far. I just was thinking about my own little circle.
Okay. Most of them are Christian or Catholic. They don't have any. The list I looked at, I didn't see any synagogues. I mean, not synagogues or like mosque or anything. I didn't really. I don't think I recall seeing synagogues or temple, whatever I believe, whatever the Jewish religion calls them. Um, but yeah, 1,800, and in the U.S., uh, a mega church consists of 2,000 people or more.
Okay, that's a lot. That's good though. I mean,
Yeah. Um, I think yep. Okay. California has 15 mega churches. Florida has 9. Georgia has 6. Texas has 19. They are the ones that make up a majority of mega churches where they are.
and you said there's 1,800,
1,800 mega churches.
and the ones you named made up the most mega
Those are
churches.
the top, like, those are ones with, I believe, the most um, members.
Oh, okay.
Why are you smiling? But they're 1,800. So, um, how many churches do you think are in America? And I'm sure this includes like King's Hall, Kingdom Hall, and all of them. Danielle.
I see one on every corner, so I don't. I mean, because they have the little houses that are like small churches. Like even my brother-in-law, he's a pastor. His church is pretty intimate.
Mm-hmm.
So, the population of California, maybe
Yeah, I don't know how to in California.
as basically
That many though.
as many houses are in California as probably how many churches.
Okay. Uh, Ash.
I would say, I mean, if there's 1,800 mega churches, I would say 50,000 little churches,
So 50,000 churches total in the U.S.
if not more, way
if,
more,
if not more, yeah.
maybe 100,000. I mean,
It's
well, shoot, because it's 50 states. I would say it's probably 50,000 in Florida alone.
That's what I'm
But
trying
yeah,
to.
I would say
It's at least
Yeah, maybe I would say 500,000, at least 500,000 or more.
It's
Because people have church in their
380,000
home.
churches in the U.S.
How many?
300, 300.
380,000 churches.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Let me ask this question then. Do you think that we should stop creating more churches?
What would be the purpose?
Of not creating more churches? I don't know.
I mean, I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like coming from a church that was a not a church split, but I think that we're a newer church, so our methods are not the traditional. So it's, even if we had joined a older established church, it'd be harder to say, "Hey, we should," or it would be a good idea to try these things to reach this specific demographic. They're kind of already set in their ways, their thoughts, their traditions, their rules, whatever it is. So we kind of I joined the church that was starting. I would have loved to have joined or stayed at the church I was at, but they didn't want to implement growth. So
And that's usually
I think it'll be a detriment to stop having new churches. I think the better thing though would be to have people, church minded people, have people who are churched have a growth mindset and say, you know what, my time has, I'm done. I'm not in my youth. My ways aren't working anymore. No one's typing on a typewriter. So you have to roll with the times. But because you did it that way, you want to keep it that way because it worked back then. It doesn't work now.
Or because they're comfortable with it
Right.
and they don't want to be uncomfortable.
because I've noticed that anytime like a younger person like takes over or whatever, they come in to try to implement new ideas. There's so much pushback, not only from, the other church members, but even the congregation who's so used to things being done this way. Which is usually you're always going to get pushback when there's change in any kind of institution.
Hmm.
Um, but to stop the creation of churches, I don't know. I don't see the benefit.
Welcome. Really, did you
Because
co-founder, co-founder,
the little churches.
co-founder,
Right.
co-founder. Um,
Right.
so the question is, so since you're just coming, should there's over 380,000 churches in the US. Should we stop creating new churches? And I think that's all churches, like all of them.
No, I don't think. No, I don't. I don't think you should stop creating new churches, but you can't create a new one in Edenville, Florida. Just a little tidbit.
They have
Okay.
74.
You cannot.
What's the reason?
So
More space.
not. It's not even space. It's
And the
taxes.
taxes.
It's
Oh,
taxes
because they're getting a lot of
because they're
write-offs.
tax. No, they're tax exempt.
Churches aren't
Tax
taxed, so they don't pay
exemption. That's what
property
I meant to
taxes.
say. The tax
So
exemption.
so the more churches you have in a section, the city is losing the ability to use that space to tax somebody.
Noted.
And I think that's also to say they're over churched. They're only 3 miles each way. They have, and nothing against Eatonville, it's my hometown on my dad's side, but there's several churches on every block, several churches on every block. And that's not an exaggeration. You can have 3 churches on one street. They're over.
There's 4 on one street, and they're a 2-mile radius.
I would dare to guess because I think we tried to count them one time. There's over 20 churches in that little city, that little town.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm counting, thinking about it in my head. It's at least 10 for sure.
It's way more, way more than 10.
So you said they're over churched. So you don't think creating more churches creates an overchurchment? That is a word. I just made it up, but it's a word now. I promise she's going to be in Webster next week. An overchurchment of people. So therefore, not creating more churches.
No, I think making an obviously those churches in that particular town aren't growing. I mean, they have let. I'm not judging a church. I'm speaking facts. Each church has maybe 5 to 15 members. Those churches, in my opinion, should be joining another. They should be grouping up. But though, if they would be growing, if they had better tactics, better marketing, up to date strategy, the Bible says compel them to come. That's
Mm-hmm.
every generation. Like what you're doing is not compelling. So if they had a newer church like Reynolds Church, what's the name of his church? His church was growing. Reynolds, Michelle Reynolds, Michelle Cole,
Oh,
her yeah,
I know what I know.
Kingdom something.
Mhm.
Redeeming Light, Redeeming Light, Redeeming Light.
Redeeming light.
Yeah, Redeeming Light
That's who
Church.
they were.
Yes, they still are there. He's still there.
Well, I
But they're
mean,
a newer church, and from my understanding, they have a good foundation, a good size, to be new. But
You say they are new. They're not a new church.
I'm sorry, they're a younger
newer,
church, a younger people wise.
younger congregation.
Yeah. But
So
England just cannot support any more churches. Period. That was a good decision for them to say no more churches will come here.
I feel like Sanford can't afford any more churches either.
Sanford has them everywhere, every corner.
Sanford has one literally on every corner.
But I mean, but in fact, Tampa it has the record in Florida though.
Really?
It was a bigger county now.
Tampa, because the Tampa has the record for churches and sex shops, strip
Oh yeah, you're gonna
clubs,
get that in Tampa. Yeah. The
strip
latter one,
clubs,
yeah, that's on every
uh,
corner. The churches
movie
are on every other
stores.
corner.
Right.
But
More over
the TV
yonder.
stores on
So
every corner.
you're gonna get your Jesus and you're gonna get your freakas.
We don't have none
All
over here in Riverview. So, but
done with the
They have
signs
it on every
outside.
corner.
not the sex stores I'm talking about. We have a lot of churches over here, but we don't have to. We don't have really sex stores over here. We don't. That's more in Tampa, Tampa.
I kind of disagree with that. I feel like churches are like restaurants, and just like you have a Burger King and a McDonald's across the street from each other, yeah, they're still burger joints. But I do think that because churches are community, um, that there are certain places that I may fit in. If I'm living in Eatonville, there may be a church that has flavor for me, right next door to a church that preaches the same gospel, but that culture of that church does not fit me. So I don't think that you should limit churches. I think that you should have as many of them as the
Allowed.
law allows.
I agree with Ashley
I
on
would
that. We
agree.
should need to consolidate. You need to really consolidate.
Okay.
No,
I'm with Gerard.
I didn't say you had to limit churches. I said that there's a need for new churches. The question was, should we cap having new churches? I said no. And I even talked about my own church. I'm a part of a new church that's only been 10 months old. So I don't believe in not having new churches. But what I am saying is that in Eatonville, they don't need another church. That area needs to be capped. That was a great decision for that town. They're
But
gonna
they,
have more churches than they will residents in a minute,
Right.
because if they let this keep going, and financially the church, the town can't support another church because they're losing money. That church is going to continue, that church, the town is going to continue to crumble economically if they keep letting churches come in, because no business is going to be paying taxes. um but no, I do feel that there is a danger in saying, or not y'all would say, I'm gonna stick where I say, a danger is saying there's a burger joint for there's a church for everybody. They got this flavor, they got this flavor. The Revelations talks about at the end of times it's going to be catch-all churches. It's going to be a church for everybody. It don't matter what your sin of choice is, it's going to be a
and
church
just,
that won't speak against it.
but no,
And
but
Yeah.
that kind of having those things, oh, I'm gonna find this, I'm gonna find this, but they don't do, at the end of the day, we need to be Bible based,
should
not
be
for
all preaching the
pride.
same gospel.
And when I say about the consolidating, I'm talking about the organization I left. There's 8 churches in a 30-mile radius belonging to the same organization with less than 20 members per church, they could consolidate. Because some are closer than that. You need to be going to the same church
I
and
remember one
close
time
them
they were right
doors.
across the street from each other.
Right. And save the money on the building that you're paying for, that monthly cost. Stop overworking the people, because if you join churches, mother so and so ain't got to be cleaning the church every Sunday. Now it's more people that could help instead of burdening the 5-10 members that you have. And but all of them are under the same denomination. All of them do church the same exact way. Ain't no different, this flavor, that flavor. It's all the same. That's what I'm saying. Consolidate within your beliefs and the way you do church.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of churches are independent nowadays. I do agree that organizations should or could consolidate, because the idea was, with a lot of churches being on, especially Baptist and like the Church of God in Christ, the two largest black denominations in this country. Their thought process was, when they evangelized in the 50s and 60s, put a church on every corner, because we didn't have access to vehicles. And because people walked and caught the bus to church, you could sustain a neighborhood having a few churches every few blocks, because it just was convenient. But now I don't think that exists anymore. But who wants to tell a church that's been around 60, 70 years, you be the one to close your doors? You know what I mean? So I think that there's a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of sentimental value to churches that I think causes them to still remain or still exist now. But those problems aren't there anymore.
And there's a lot of pride in that too,
I
especially
can agree with that.
especially for churches that have 5 members or even 10, but half of them are your family from your direct house. And so because I went to a church that had what, 6, 7, 8, 9 members. One of the ladies was elderly and disabled, and I wear too many hats. I was the greeter, the usher, I was the Sunday school teacher, I was a part of the finance committee, I had to do the announcements. I said, take me off.
Is this the restored church you're talking about?
I do a lot there too, but I won't talk about the restored. But the point is that it and 6 of those people in that 8 or 9 was from my house. And I wasn't the
Hello.
pastor, nor was the father of my children. We weren't the pastor. So the certain churches just got to close down. It don't make sense because you got disgruntled members. I was a disgruntled member. I don't mind saying it because God already knew it.
Hello. Now y'all do too. Um, which state has the most churches?
I would say Tennessee.
Eatonville.
It's its own state now.
It's a lot of church.
Shut up.
There's a lot of churches in Edenville, man.
That's a lot. Shut up,
That's
man.
sad. That's
Which state you
sad.
think had the most churches? Think that Jenny Lee?
That was in Edenville.
I don't know. Georgia?
Ashley, you gonna guess for real?
Georgia's a good answer. I want to say I think I was gonna say
Below the
Texas.
Bible Belt.
Yeah, I was gonna say Texas.
Yeah, I was
But
going to
when
say
you said
Texas.
Georgia, I'm thinking it could be
Texas.
Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, or Georgia. Any of them 4.
That's what I said. Anyone below the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm
because-
gonna stick with Texas.
But Texas, the reason I would say no is because of the fact that there's a majority of Texas that's not even populated. Like that, there's a great deal of Texas that's not even populated. So even if the size is big, so I don't know. It's between Georgia and Texas for me.
Tennessee.
Okay.
California has the most, according to my research, California has the most churches. I'm surprised you didn't say California like you did for every other answer, Danielle. California has apparently 24,000 churches.
Jesus.
Next is North Carolina with 15,700.
North Carolina.
After that is Florida with 15,600.
Wow.
So pretty large. So Florida came before Texas. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
According to whatever, unless I just read it wrong, but according to what I Google.
In the words of Beyonce, this ain't Texas.
Oh yeah, bring her in. Okay, largest mega church. So I want to stick with mega churches. Where?
In America,
Yeah.
in America is Joel Osteen's church.
That's what I was
Lakewood.
gonna say. I was gonna give it to Joel Osteen or
And this has the most weekly attendance.
Yeah, Joel Osteen definitely hands down. And there's no one close to him. I mean,
and this before the fall of TD Jakes.
well, T.D. Jakes, even if it, at his height,
I'm just talking. I say Joel Osteen for sure.
Agreed. Faux show. Hey, oh, I'm not saying Haiti anymore. It's
Who is?
actually. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, you finna say it.
It's actually Gateway Church in Texas.
Who's the pastor?
I have to look it up again.
but yeah,
They have 100,000 weekly members.
right.
Yeah.
But Gateway has multi sites, though. I don't think that counts.
Well, this is just no, because this one is speaking to the one in Texas, because there's also a father-son duo that's Ed Young Jr. He has 24,000, and Ed Young Sr. has 23,000. So they don't count them together.
Right. No. But I'm saying it's one church in multiple cities. Sorry, one
Like a
city,
franchise.
multiple locations in that city. I don't count that because they say
How do
it's
you have
one church
multiple
in.
locations in one city?
Yeah, they do it like North
Yeah.
Houston, Central Houston.
Yeah.
I think Joel Osteen has the most weekly attendance in his one building I was talking about, not his
Franchise.
consortium of churches, which is a multi-site is where it's at though. But I think multi-site is exactly what Ashley was saying is a problem for some people, but their multi-sites are all functioning.
So does Life Church have multiple locations?
Most mega churches do.
But so are we assuming that this is not talking about the?
I'm sure Gateway has multiple. If you go to their website, you'll see Gateway. Who's the pastor of Gateway?
Robert Morris. And then you have Life Church, which is in Edmond, Oklahoma. I don't think they have multiple locations in there, but they have 85,000. The Church of the Highlands in Birmingham, Alabama has 60,000 members. North Point Community Church in Alpharetta has 50,000. And then you have Lakewood Church with Joel Osteen in Texas for 45,000. TD Jakes don't hold a candle to them. Creflo does not hold a candle to them.
What's that one church in Georgia?
World Changers, that's Creflo Dollar's church. I hear tapping, tap, tap, tappity, tap, tap, tappity.
It says multi-site. Gateway is a non-denominational charismatic Christian multi-site mega church based in South Lake. So it's saying it estimates its weekly attendance at 100,000. That's for all the sites.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just saw it over here to the side.
Free Chapel.
And
Yeah,
all of these actually.
Yeah, it tells you how many each church seats, because Gateway South Lake seats 4,000.
Well, they're counting also. Looking over here, it says 10 churches plus online plus prison campuses.
Wow.
Life Church has 42 plus online.
Wow.
Joel Osteen does not. You're right. Okay. It's a lot of people. Now I want to see if Potter's House has 3 locations. Creflo and Taffy do not. They only have 1. Okay. Oh, welcome back. Hi to you too.
This ain't Texas.
Why do you think people are so against mega churches?
You said what? Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
I said, why do you feel people are so against mega churches?
Prosperity. Because the pastor gets the tithing or whatever. They get that just mean more money coming to the pastor. So
Yeah.
they feel like the pastor should be humble, not humble, but lowly, like having no money, which I don't agree with. But I have my reasons for being against mega churches, but we're
Yeah,
not
we
against.
get to that.
I think it's the money. They tired of seeing people in a, and I think that sometimes the pastors get too flashy. That doggone jet, I was like, really? Come on now.
Who
I
when
think
Creflo said he need a plane?
I
I think perception and the fall of the greats in the 80s when television evangelism was at its height has stained mega churches. And so, you know, even if you're not doing anything improper, um, it's just a stigma that comes with it now,
yeah.
especially around finances. But
If
there's a
you
lot of other stuff that happens in mega churches. They're ranked with sexual abuse, you know, with children and against women. Period. I mean, there's a lot that goes on. Not in all of them, but I mean, there's a lot that goes on in
Did you say
that.
something?
um somebody was joking and was talking about how the pastor had the whole congregation come out to bless his new Porsche.
I don't think it was a joke. That was probably true.
It probably was, um, but I know that also a lot of pastors have businesses, multiple businesses at the side. So it's hard to discern where the money's coming from. So
So why do you personally think, not the whole, but why do you personally think that mega churches are not the best? I'll
because
start.
sometimes, oh,
Um,
I think
Cedric
the per-
Cedric
oh,
actually said the same thing I feel. You can't have one-on-one with your pastor.
Yeah.
Your pastor can't shepherd, like he can't shepherd all of these people. And in most cases, most churches don't have deacons enough to even give groups of people to them. At the last church I went to, it was a small church, but he gave particular members to particular deacons. My opinion, anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I don't think these mega churches are able to do that. You can't.
can't access
Even
every.
at Joel Osteen's church, 45,000 people. If you give each person 100 people, that's still a lot of people to take care of and to be over and to pay attention to. If you give each person 100, that's what 400, 4,500 deacons in your church.
yeah, you would need a whole staff of deacons. Your deacons would be
So
a mega
basically,
church.
they're inaccessible.
Right.
Anybody's there is inaccessible, especially the pastor.
I I
I,
agree with that. I agree, and that would be my reason that you get lost and not to the point where you can't talk to the pastor, but if you don't show up or something's going on with you, you get lost in the number. That's what I don't like. I want people to know if I miss church because something could be wrong, but I also this is the church, the Bible side. There's nothing wrong with that because Moses shepherded all them people, and he delegated people, men, to be over smaller groups. So it can be done. It's not out of the will of God because God set that up. I think that people's problem of wanting a one-to-one with the pastor, in my opinion, is because you don't have a one-to-one with God. Why do I need to talk to my pastor all the time and be in my pastor's face? We have become more man driven than God driven. If our relationship with God, that's all that should matter. I used to attend a mega church in Atlanta. I didn't like it because it was so much going on. They had praise dancers, they had mimers, they had flags, they had a choir. There was so many people that they had to do all this stuff. People in the aisles, people in the top balcony. I mean, I was in the balcony losing my mind. It was so much going on
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't focus on none of it. So that's why I don't the demand to entertain all them people is it's a circus. That's why I don't like it.
This person said, and the pastor will never get the opportunity to touch you, lay hands on you. It would always be someone else and not him.
I think that I agree with Ashley. Moses had estimated 4 million people following him at the height of the Exodus. Like, how's that for mega? and his father-in-law instructed him to
Jethro.
assign, yeah, instructed him to assign people over those to help him manage it. I think that the problem, there is a connectivity problem, but we also have to get to the point where in Black America, pastors are like our hero. You know what I mean? Like they're like, I, if an elder at a church is praying, he represents the church. He's been vetted. He's on staff. And I call my church and I say I'm sick, and he shows up. Even if I've never met him, and he comes as a representative who's been vetted and trained and licensed, God is in him too. If he's at my hospital bed, the same God that hears my pastor's prayer hears his prayer. I don't know if that should be a desire that I have a close proximity relationship with my pastor on every level. I don't know if that's the goal.
This person also Shedrick said also the pastor will never get the opportunity to lay hands on it. It will always be an associate, pastors and other people that's working in the altar.
I don't have a mega church, and if you come on Sunday, you're probably going to get an associate or an altar worker praying with you. And I'm nowhere close to mega yet.
So that's your ultimate goal, to be a mega church?
I don't think it's a goal to be a mega church, but I think if a church is growing healthy, how do you stop it? I think if a church is growing and thousands of people are coming, because I've been a part of a mega church before, and I've been a part of one that exploded in two. I don't know if you plan to become a mega church. Like Joel Osteen, his dad starting a chicken coop in Texas with less than 20 people. Did he plan to have a church of 45,000 people attending? I don't think so. But how do you stop it if it's good and it's growing?
I don't think you initially plan it, but I think that you get to a place where you start planning. Just like the restored church, we didn't plan for the 30 something members we have now, but now that we got them, you start restructuring your church, and now you're thinking, okay, we got to be ready for the next 30. So you grow to plan. You plan for it. You have to plan because ain't nobody coming out of nowhere. You didn't get 100,000 people overnight. You had to start changing systems and structures. But to initially,
I think that's managing, though. I think that's managing growth. I don't think that's planning
that's
to grow.
that is planning and expecting it. We even have people at our church preach about a bigger church. Oh, it's coming. Y'all got to prepare. So we're planning to have a big, but I don't think a mega church is not in my plans, but I'm not going to be a part of a church when it becomes a circus. I don't care what the church is. Once it becomes clowny and a circus and we're more man driven and not God driven, I'm out. That's when I tap out.
Yeah, but
I tap out at productions. When you start doing all these productions, all this extra stuff, I can't.
I think that,
and I think people do plan for. There are people that actually do plan to have a mega church. That's their goal, to have a mega church. And they set it up. That's just like having a long-term goal. Blacklist will be having these many events for this year. So if I want to have this many events, this is what I have to do, working backwards to get to that goal. And I think people do plan for that.
Yeah.
And also, I think
1,000% people. Some people do start off with a plan for that because you could tell because they go to those grow your church into this mega church, and take your church from 0 to 2,000 in 5 months. There's conferences that Pastor Jay and I both know of people doing these mastermind classes, charging people $1,000 to sit up under them and I'm gonna give you my whole rubrics. I'm gonna give you everything I did. Yeah, and it also took you years to get there. So stop trying to. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into that. But people do plan. I'm gonna open a church and I'm gonna be a mega church in 2 years. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, but I think that planning to operate in excellence, they're planning to grow a church, to grow. I think the growth model of a church, Jesus, when he leaves his disciples in charge, the scripture says he added to the church daily such as to be saved, and that on the day of Pentecost, either 2,000 or 3,000 were added to the church that day. that would be a mega church. I know a lot of churches that are strong, thousands plus that would qualify as a mega church, but they're still Bible based. They're still so. I think if we're trying to save as many people as possible, we're trying to grow as many people as possible. I think we're talking about mega church with a negative connotation. I think that mega church in and of itself is not a bad thing because there are a lot of great, healthy, strong mega churches that don't have a lot of the
2,000.
drama. So what?
I'm sorry, 2,000 or more constitutes a mega church. 2,000
Yeah,
I'm
members.
not saying to make the churches in a negative way. I don't feel if that's what I'm presenting, that's not what I'm saying. I'm
right,
saying that because I like I said, God structured it where it is mega churches. And Moses was a mega church, probably the biggest mega church there is or has ever been. So I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think that when you become more man focused, that's when the
right.
problem comes. That's in anything.
And that's
So
at any level, though. That's at a church
that's
of
what I'm
10
saying. I
people.
don't, yeah, and that exactly what I said was when it becomes more about men in a circus, I'm out. I don't care what level it's on. I mean, I left my home church of 30 plus years because to me it was not Christ centered. It was more man centered, and they don't have that many members. So, and I don't think anything wrong with wanting a mega church as long as you want it for the right reasons.
Yeah, but I think
Oh,
wanting, oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say, wanting mega impact, I think, is more important to me. I think wanting to impact as many people with not just the life changing gospel, but also with holistic ministry, financial literacy, things of that nature. I think that this world, there's a need for more church. There's a need for more connectivity to church people. We have something that the world needs. And I think wanting to get that out in the masses should be the goal of every church.
Well,
I
yeah, that
say
should be the goal, to preach the gospel and
Mm.
build the body of Christ. But that's not always the goal. And that's in small and large churches. And I don't think I'm speaking negatively on mega churches. I personally would not attend a mega church. Um, I attended, I've gone to two when I lived in Georgia. And one was, I don't know if it was a mega church. He had two churches, um, well, technically three because his brother pastored one. But, and I liked it. It was fine. The pastor was great. He gave great word. The other one was Creflo Dollar's church. But I'm not against mega churches. I think with mega churches it creates lazy members in the body of Christ. You get to hide in the number, and I don't see. And I guess as long as you're getting your gospel, you're getting your word. But I think we're all supposed to be active in the body of Christ.
But there's more than enough volunteer opportunities for mega churches. If you go there and sit down, it's because you want to. Most of the mega churches, they end up having their volunteers, pastor, the folks like, for example, Ivy Hilliard has a mega church in Texas. Started from nothing, right? Church grew, multiple locations. At one point, he had over 400 unpaid volunteers in his church that helped them. And like, these were full time volunteers that helped them to see about the ministry. So the person that oversaw those volunteers became their pastor, not the senior pastor, but took care of them. That's who they had the personal connection with. That's who they saw this, that, and the other. I'm sure there's always something to do. Yeah, you can hide, but there are people who hide in regular small churches. I don't think that it's a, a church's indictment if a person is not active in the body, because surely there's enough to do, even at those churches.
yeah,
It may not.
I don't think she's saying it's the church's fault. She's just saying it's easier. And I think you don't hide in the small church when you're not active. You just outright just don't care. You're not hiding. You just like, I'm not doing nothing and don't call me. So you got to think about yourself on that. But I watch a lot of mega churches online. Like I like a lot of the teachings. But I want to say when it comes to the store church, if it becomes mega, I'm there for it. I'm there for the mega, for the growth. I'm gonna do my part. I'm going to help with systems and structures, marketing, whatever. But the moment I feel that my pastor has become more worldly or exalted or full of pride or feel like we need to kiss a ring that he wears, I'm not going to be a part of that. As long as we're promoting Christ, I am there
You got
for
to
it.
promote the Savior. You got to honor the man. You got to
That's all.
promote the Savior.
It ain't, and see that we get it now, but I'm not gonna be there for the
I don't know
foolishness.
why people struggle with honoring a pastor. That's tough.
I'm not
That's weird.
showing honoring. I'm not
Nobody,
No,
showing
I
honoring.
didn't
she
say.
didn't say anything
I
about
didn't say.
honoring the
I didn't.
pastor. She didn't say anything
I
about
didn't
honoring the
say
pastor. You didn't hear
you.
it right.
I didn't say
But
you,
you
and I didn't.
equate it when you
Y'all,
say that
no,
after what she said, it makes it sound
Right.
like
no.
you're talking about like the
Okay.
pastor needs to be exalted. He does
No.
not. He can be honored. He don't need to be exalted like that.
He needs
And
to
you know,
be
there are
honored.
some churches. I was remember we were having a whole conversation about one pastor where his members call him daddy or father or something crazy.
Hmm.
And it's like, nah. And she said the second I get a whiff of that, I'm out. I will have praise, worship, and preaching at my house, and it'll be a congregation of just one. Hey, can I get an amen? Amen. So
I think that's different strokes for different folks. The Catholic Church call all their pastors father. That they literally call them Father so and so to denote that he is the spiritual father of that
No,
parish.
nothing's wrong with that. And nothing's wrong with that. If ever I get married, I'm gonna call him Lord. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
me too.
What I'm saying is right now you're Pastor J. The moment we get 100 members, and now you say call me Daddy J, that evolution, that's what I don't that change is what I'm not here for. You
There
will
you
forever
go.
be Pastor J to me. I'm not going to go to Father J or
You
uh
might.
husband, he the husband of all of us. Because people do I've
Bridegroom,
seen that before.
groom.
I'm not doing those things. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be a part of a cult. So that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with Father so and so, especially if you join the church and that's what they was calling him. Then you was already
Hmm.
on board. But it's when the names start changing and the
Right.
requirements start changing. That one guy who was, and this is in our time, talking about having sex on the altar with the women because you was feeling yourself, you was full of
Right,
yourself,
Danielle.
and you
Look at
you
Danielle clutch her pearls, her Jamaican
yeah,
pearls.
you started testing the water. One lady did it, and or
I don't know if
the
Danielle was shocked or if she was looking to join the church.
right.
There was a little confusion there. There was a
that
little
priest
confusion there.
that priest that was hitting that child in the head. You got beside yourself. You think that you're untouchable, but that dad showed him he's not untouchable.
I can touch you. Be ye touched.
Right.
First, let me go with First Timothy 5:7. The elders who direct the affairs of the church well are worthy of double honor, especially those
Amen.
whose work is preaching and teaching. To you who's commented that, we said our pastor can be honored, but when he
Not
wants to
can
be
be, should
exalted
be
above
honored.
man and he wants to be exalted to a level where he can't touch this, then he has a problem. We ain't saying nothing wrong with honoring your pastor. You should honor the mother of your church. You should honor the other saints of the church. They say nothing wrong with honoring your pastor, Playboy. Comment to that. Oh, best friend. Best friend. Do you feel mega church pastors are in it for the right reasons?
I feel like they started out with all the good intent.
And this is not all of them. We're just saying in
Yeah,
general.
I
I,
feel
I, I,
most pastors. I'm going to say most pastors, especially the ones that don't lead cults. Um, most of them started out with the right intent.
Okay.
I
However, it's evolved from that point.
I think power is just as dangerous as greed, and I think that people with unchecked power, no checks and balances, they may be in it for the right reason, but going about that reason the wrong way. I mean, it's stressful pastoring. You know what I mean? So I don't know anyone who got into it just for the money or just for the I posted a post yesterday. The average church can only give a pastor a car allowance. There's not a lot of, I talked to a pastor yesterday, has an $8,000 lease on a building. That's before he's paid or any of his musicians. He's not getting anything. There's a lot of people that are in it for the wrong reason. But I think even if you're not a mega church pastor, and I keep saying that, I know some people who pastor small churches, but they just, like Ashley was saying, they just don't want to listen to nobody and they want to do their own thing. And that's not the right reason to be in it.
And in all honesty, and this is for man, period. If I were a pastor, not me, if I were a sinner and I was a pastor and you asked me my reason for being in the church or creating the church, I'm not going to say for the money, nigga. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to be like, oh, so that I can give the people the Lord and da 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 da. So you're like, you don't know anyone that is in that way, but some of them
Yeah.
aren't going to say it.
Yeah, no,
And if you want
I
to go to
get
a mega
that.
church, go to a mega church. I'm not telling you not to go to mega churches. I'm not saying destroy our mega churches. I'm not saying that. If mega church, mega on.
Yeah, but I think God is deconstructing mega churches. I mean, there's a trend in their decline where they have buildings, but they don't have members. COVID, I think, helped expedite that. A lot of people are not returning in a lot of ways, because I do think that something was lost with the mega church culture. And it's a very small fraction of churches are mega churches. Like, I think,
0.5%.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's something that needs to be discussed. People think that mega churches are more popular than what they are because you see them on TV because they can afford to. The average size church in America has 15 members. That's the average size church of America, 15. There are way more smaller churches than mega churches. Unfortunately, mega churches are more visible. So it's really not a, let me say, I can say it, I don't want to say it's not a problem, but it's a drop in the bucket. If you took all churches that are mega and said they all were demonic, led by cult leaders who were in it for the money, the power, and the sex, it would be a drop in the bucket compared to how many churches are doing the right thing. I just want to
But
say
a
that for the
drop in a
record.
bucket can affect the whole pail of water, though.
I agree, but I want to say, because a lot of people think they judge church culture by what they see through mega churches. The majority of churches are good, decent, hardworking, caring people with great pastors who love them. So if you're someone who's had a bad experience at a mega church, because a lot of people, when they say church hurt, it happened at a mega church. If you're someone who's had a bad experience at a mega church, don't give up on the church, um, because of that experience. Find a church. Find a
Right.
restored church coming to a city near you. Tampa location opening in 2026.
See? Mega church thinking already. He ain't even got 15 members.
That's
He already
multi-site
opening
thinking.
another church. But
That's multi-site, not mega.
so I'm sorry, what's again? I was joking. I'm sorry, I was joking.
You look real
I
thin
just,
today.
it'll just be
You
me.
losing?
It's just
You
me.
losing?
Huh? What? I like your shirt.
Thank you.
No, you. What were you saying?
Nothing. I was
Okay.
saying you look thin. I was saying you look thin. Look like you're losing weight.
And not. But thank you. It's because I'm holding my head like this. Makes your face look slimmer. Right. See how that worked? So I I think in the way of what Ashley said about how these pastors of mega churches are very flashy. I get that you have the money. I get that you can do it. I get that your congregation, when it comes to pastor appreciation, they appreciate you. So you are taken care of. I get that. But you also, like for instance, Joel Osteen denied access to his church during the hurricane. Half of your members make up the city that the hurricane was in. Like your members aren't coming from Florida or Illinois to have church. They're the community that surrounds the church. And for him to not let them in or utilize the church, I think that's crazy. I also think that while you're
Wait.
floating, while
Can
you're
we give
driving,
proper?
wait, write that down. I also think that while you have members while you're floating around in your Bentley coupe DeVille. I know that's not a car, but it is now because I made it and somebody's gonna make it. You have members that are struggling, and it doesn't seem like you're aiding them in their struggle. And I said that's not making churches. I'm just
I,
saying the views in which people may deem it.
I think we have to give proper context to that. Joel Osteen's church stated that during the hurricane that it wasn't safe in certain sections of his church and insurance issues. And his job is to protect the church. I mean, and we also have to be honest. All them people who was running Joel Osteen Church, majority of them probably were not his members. They probably were people who walked by that church every day and didn't go in it. I think also to that same token,
Or what?
when you look at Joe Osteen, people like him, people like Rick Warren, people who are best-selling authors, these are people who have paid back their salaries that they received from their church and no longer take salaries because they've made millions in other places. So I think that we have to be fair with context. You see him in a mansion now. He has over 7 best-selling books. At one point, he was making $40 million outside of his pastoral duties as a televangelism or director of a televangelism ministry. I think that those things do matter. You know, he's in a $4 million house, a $20 million house, but he's made over $100 million. So I think that we have to um, put that in context as well. You know, there's some crooks out there, but I'm not convinced Joel Osteen's a crook yet.
I would say that as far as the church and the hurricane or the natural disaster, whatever it was, um, Joel Osteen is not the only one that makes those decisions. He just happens to be the pastor, so he gets the blame for it. And then as far as he's driving a certain car, people struggling, his congregation, I think we put more responsibility on a pastor than we do on our own selves. I drive by homeless people all the time. That doesn't mean I'm going to lower my life living to make sure that we're on equal footing. And I
No,
think the
that's correct.
expectation for pastors to do that, I think to me, that's not wise. Why do I have to lower my life living? Because if you ask the basic church member, do you want money? Are you going to do you feel like you're going to go to hell for having money? No, because I'm wanting to say that I'm not going to die broke. I don't think that being rich is a sin. I don't feel that way. And if ever God bless me with that, of course I'm gonna give back. And I believe that Joel Osteen and all of them, they do give. Of course, but I'm not going to now live a poor man's life because other people. Because I was gonna be somebody poor. That's the way, especially in America. They want the differences in class. Like that's gonna be a thing.
And I think a pastor should grow as the church grows. Joel Osteen took over a church that had
Yeah.
roughly 15, 20,000 people attending when his dad died. He took the membership up to 80,000 with a weekly attendance of 45,000. I mean, they're coming there as a result of his efforts. And scripture is clear that as the church grows, you should live on your work from the church. If you are a full-time pastor, Joel Osteen is a full-time pastor too. So I think that if you have a church that brings in $50 million a year and they decide they want to pay their pastor a million of it, I don't see the foul in that.
I don't think anybody does.
But what I'm saying is, if he is making $1 million a year, he can definitely afford a Bentley, even if people in his church are catching the bus. So I think that to say you're living like this is really socialism. What is what we're saying, that socialism has to work in the church. We don't tell anyone else that. We don't tell CEOs of companies when they come for their photo op at McDonald's and they pull up in a Benz. We don't say, well, the person on fries caught the bus here today. You should probably catch the bus home, Mr. CEO. Only the church that we do that. And I don't think that's I
Now
don't think that's
businesses do that too.
I
Because they
think
were
it's
complaining, like at Goodwill, for example, they were complaining about upping the wages for the employees there. And everybody was like, "Well, the CEO wouldn't do it," but they were like, "Why don't you take some of your money and give it to them because you're making X amount of $1 million a year, and they're only making X amount of dollars a year, like X amount of tens a year. So you should take some of your wages and give it to the people that need it, who help this business stay alive.
Yeah, and I
So it is done in regular life.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I agree. And I've seen that, especially the when you have products that are made in a certain way, like Apple products. You got people slaving over to make it, they getting paid $10 for that whole month. And then you turn around and sell that same phone for 2,000 or $1,000. And it's like, where's the justification in that? I've seen, yeah, them people need to be getting paid way more. And it's child labor, a lot of it. So when it's not balanced, it does make sense to ask those things. But I believe, then it's based on my understanding, and when it comes to the Bible, the pastor should get certain should get the tithing. But I also feel like that pastor shouldn't be working a second job either. They should be totally devoted to the church. Because if somebody needs you, then somebody needs you. But if that church is only 5 members, then the pastor got to work a second job. But then we back to the beginning. Now you need to consolidate and go to another church that believe what you believe, worship like you worship, and shut your church down.
And I agree that pastor, if you are paying, I guess I hate to say, yeah, paying, because I believe the Levites were paid to do it, to preach and pastor and take care of the temple or the church, the building.
Right.
Um, say again.
I said right.
Oh, I thought you just like give me the name of it. But you are 24 hours a day devoted to your members. Like it ain't no call me in the morning. No, you're 24 hours in this, sir, ma'am.
And I just want to say I am bivocational, but I am 24 hours to my members too. Just want to say that for the record. You call, I'm coming. It's my job.
Okay, thank you for that. Now you do that for 100,000 members.
Mm-mm. Nope.
No, no,
Because
no. So, no, 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 no.
if I'm
No,
not coming,
Nathan. Jethro.
somebody else is coming. I got y'all. I hate to run. My phone's on 5%, and I want the rest of this. I would have a charger, but right. Okay.
I don't know who we're looking at. Anywho, so
It's
I
Barnes
mean,
closed. Amazon don't deliver. I missed something.
All
Amazon
right.
definitely delivers next day, from my understanding, sometimes. But yeah, Danielle, did you have anything you wanted to add about mega churches, or because I didn't think it was going to be a long combo?
You guys basically said it all already.
Hmm. So you said, Ash, I don't know where you are, on which side you are, but you said no mega church. You would prefer not to do a mega church.
No, she said that if it's a mega church, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and not man centered versus people centered or Bible centered, right?
Right. But when it comes to my membership, I said I prefer not because I want y'all to know if I'm not there. But if I'm at the front, not the front, that sounded weird. If I have a key position in the church, I'm over marketing and y'all need me, I'm an asset to the church, then I think that's different because then you will know if I'm not there. But if I'm just a member,
Just a
then
number.
I can't, yeah, because I want if I'm not there 2 Sundays or 3 Sundays in a row, somebody need to come get me. I fall and I
Right.
can't get up. Spiritually, maybe. Who knows?
It was like the girl in What Women Want. She wasn't at church. I mean, not at church, at work, and the guy was like, "Have you seen such and such a person? I want you to know that I'm not there." Um, yeah, you're just a number. I don't want to be in prison. I don't want to be member number 7645834. Um, I want my pastor to look at me sideways if I'm not doing something. Like you know, you need to be active in this, right? So I agree with all of that. Danielle, how do you feel about attending a mega church?
I feel the same way that Ashley feels. Like, I mean, when it's so many people, yeah, you are just a number. So I don't know if I'll get the same benefit out of it.
I also have an issue being just a body in the seat on a small church. The church I used to attend, I'm a mother of 4 girls. To this day, they don't know my children's names. That bothers me. Like how you don't know their name and we worship with you. And it ain't that many of us in here. So yeah, I don't want to be lost in the number.
The church I used to attend, I wanted to be active, um, but it seemed they were giving positions. I felt like a number because and it was a small church. I felt like a number because they were giving positions to people who they didn't want to lose as members because of their financial contribution to the church. I don't want that life either, small or large church. Don't overlook me because
Somebody else giving more money.
somebody else might be giving more money and their members, the group of them make up a large portion of the church. So they don't want to lose members either.
Capitalism has a best.
So yeah. But I was talking to somebody about mega churches and I was like, yeah, yeah, this is it's a thin line between staying focused and not. Thank you for filling me there.
And sometimes when it's a mega church, sometimes the agenda gets lost too.
How so?
Like for example, like what Ashley said, like where now it's no longer focused on the word, it's focused on fulfilling whatever agenda.
No.
So sometimes it's a political agenda because they want to support this president, or it just goes down a different path than what it initially was supposed to be doing in the beginning. If that makes sense.
It does. Real quick, segueing to a different topic, but not going too far because we'll probably end this in like 15 minutes. How do we feel about churches that bring in like Congress members or people that are trying to get in office to the church to speak to the people? And before you answer that question, let me say this: the church is not the building. The church is the people.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have to take care of the church, Joel Osteen, it's the people you have to take care of, not the building. And I'm not the biggest fan of Joel Osteen, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know him. I don't watch him. So, but how do you feel about churches that bring in people that are
Politicians.
trying to get in political seats um, to talk to the people?
Mm. That one usually hits hard for me, especially if that person is not an active part of the community.
I know what you mean.
So
You're on block. You're
I didn't hear
muted.
I didn't hear what she said.
no, I said when, for example, if the politician is not actually contributing to the community, and then that person is coming in, and asking for support and using the church to do that. Like, for
I.e.,
example, a local mayor or something. I don't know.
i.e., the white guy that's never came to this church before, but you're trying to get the black vote. So you up here beseeching
Yeah,
everybody at the church to vote for you because you praise the Lord too.
yeah.
That's what gets me. I'm like, you ain't never come to this church before. You ain't never been here before. And all of a sudden,
Not
you
even
front
if they're,
row,
it's not even if they're not necessarily at that church, because sometimes they could go to another church in the community,
but
but
you
it's like
ain't never
they're not
visited
even
this
part of
church.
the community.
I'm talking about you ain't never visited this church though. Yeah, and
Mm.
I've never seen your face. I've never seen your face at the corner store. Or just, I get what you're saying, like legit, like
See, I look at that differently. I love it. I
mhm.
love it. I love it. I love it. I feel like it's such a good move for the church. Um to allow that. I feel like I would love if our church got more involved in the politics. Um because every church has to be a community church.
Well, we're
And
not saying that churches shouldn't get involved in the
no,
politics.
I'm saying inviting them, letting them come and talk. No, you're talking about people coming to the church. I think that I love it, and I loved it before I heard Walker. I think he's in North Carolina. He's a mega church pastor. He does a lot of youth, like a young adults, like our age, reaching or whatever. But he's an older guy, and he says he calls them. I went to a conference that Pastor McRae had this year, and he was one of the speakers, which to my surprise. But anywho, long story short, he calls them three coins. He said, "I got three coins to play when it comes to his to politics." He said he talked about this one boy who went to jail, and he had to petition the governor to, because it was wrong, unjustly, whatever. He said, "I played one of my coins," and he uses them for his community by allowing them to come, building those relationships. I think it's a great idea. I think the church has to be involved in those things because we operate under God, and but not everything is flesh and blood. You got laws and all them things that you got to be a player in, and you got to be practical. So I'm for it. And I pray that some of them ask to come speak at the restored church, and that our pastor say yes, and we'll make sure Brandy's not in attendance that day.
Bless the Lord. Oh my soul. And I agree with this is also a part of why I don't like it. Why are you letting them in the pulpit? You don't know if they saved or not. Most people can't even step, like at the church I used to go to. You can't even step on the pulpit. You can't. Don't look at it. You can only kneel and touch it with your elbows. But you let, and not that church, but you let some politician or some political figure get up in there talking about some vote for me is a vote for you, and also like, is that not telling people who to vote for?
I agree with that. Not being in the pulpit. I do feel like you can speak on the floor, but the being in the pulpit, I don't agree with that either. So I think that's a good point. Whoever said that.
That is a good point.
Shedrick, and I don't know why we here tonight, bro. But I think that he was gonna say something. No,
I
yeah,
know.
huh?
I know at the old church I was at, one of the judges there was a judge trying to get elected, and we partnered with that judge, and we're like, hey, you come to some community events, Pat, and help with volunteer, whatever, and I'd be doggone if I'm not looking for that man if somebody get in trouble, because I want to call that a coin to play. I think that we got it. Yeah, I love it.
So after y'all partnered with him and you said come to this event, and how many events has he been at since?
That's not the point. That's not the point. I think that I don't know if he been to any of them, but he also made a donation to the church. So that was I think it was either 2,500 or $5,000, one or two, I believe, to that smaller church. You got to be an active player in your community in all ways, and we're doing it for Christ's sake.
Who's got to be an active player?
The church has to be an active player.
So instead of inviting, and this is, I guess we've ventured off topic. So instead of inviting a politician to the church, how about you have a meeting with the church people and tell them about each person that's running for office, inform them of the amendments that are there to be voting for, how like a political information gathering for them to understand the politics, and not like show them a face on this is who you should vote for.
You should head that up then. It's a good idea. Then do it. That's the thing. People don't want to sit there and do that part. But I'm saying if somebody,
I don't know politics like that, so I shouldn't be head of that.
if somebody comes, they're not against. I'm gonna say this, and you might not like this. My mama told me who to vote for when I was 18. I didn't know who. She said, "This who you gonna vote?" I jokingly said, "I want to be a Republican." She said, "You won't be in this house." So, and then she said, "This who you voting for this year?" If my mama could do it, and I'm not saying the church doesn't say vote for this person, but the doors are open. And of course that person has to align with the beliefs of the church. If you trying to do something that we don't agree with as far as the Bible is concerned, then of course not. But if you want to come, volunteer, donate, as long as you ain't, I don't see nothing wrong with it. And then your opponent is also welcome as long as we don't disagree with it.
I don't know why I would be upset with that. Mommy did tell me who to vote for when I was 18. I know nothing about politics. But there were certain amendments I looked into and I told her about them, and she was like, okay, don't vote for that one. So it's like, just because it's better to inform than to just be like, hey, come up here. They'll know your face and your name, and they'll just automatically circle in the bubble, even though you can come up here pretending to be somebody you're not for the church's sake, donating money. And I think I know you're talking about the judge guy, that I like too, but I looked into him also, but I liked him. Um, so I believe he was speaking like the facts about himself, but there are people that come into communities that don't. So I'm just saying, I think churches should, instead of, or in addition to, if you decided to have a political figure that comes into the office, into your building, in addition to, we need to inform you about what vote, the value of voting, and why you should vote, and who each person is, and what they're known for, what each amendment is saying, and how you should interpret it, and how you feel about what you should vote on it. That's just, I'll marinate on that.
I don't know statistics about it, but I dare to say those in my group, a lot of our voting is based on what we see. A lot of people don't do the research. You see a black face, I'm voting for the black person. Or you see a woman, and everybody both on white, I'm gonna vote for the woman. Or I'm gonna vote for the Hispanic, the one that is closest to me. I'm gonna vote for. You don't even research or care. They out there waving. You see the sign. You see the picture. That's why they got their pictures on it. So it's like, I think that if the church has done their job and have vetted, and I do believe that you have to pray about those things. It's not willy-nilly just come. But you have to see, God, is this okay to have this person here? And I don't see anything wrong with it, especially if, like the judge, for instance, personally did something for that I know of. I don't mind supporting that. And then to say, hey, you might not know nothing about him, but this who we need to be voting for. He has the best interest for people that look like us and whatever, whatever. I might not be there sitting educating you, because I'm gonna be like mama to my girls. This who you voting for. I'm sure they'll want to be more informed. I didn't care, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. The point is, I don't see
No,
no.
I get what you're saying. Like, you're not basing it off of his stats. You're basing it off of what he did for you. I can tell you he's a good person because of what he did for me and mine. This is why I feel like you should vote for him. But I'm like, for example, the church I went to, where they had to put, well, one of them, they had the guy come in. He didn't even know the pastor's name. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? What did he give you that you were like, yep, come in and talk? You can talk. Like, I'm talking about that kind of stuff also. But back to mega churches. I don't think I recall seeing a prominent person, like a political person at a mega church. So, is there any other thoughts on mega churches before we get off this mofo? That's hip. Okay. Well, thank you for joining, Pastor Jay. Thank you for joining, D. Ash. I still have your bowl, Danielle. If you want that back, it's sitting right over there. And if you have more food you want to put in it, then give it back to me. That's always an option too.
You're always welcome to dinner.
I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Not tomorrow. Got some things I need to do. But thank you. I appreciate the conversation that didn't, because people like to say you can't talk politics, you can't talk religion without conflict or confrontation. Obviously not true. So thank you. Question time. Y'all take care. Bye. Y'all
Bye.
take care. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same
What's
place.
the topic?
Girl, I don't know. We have to call. We'll talk about it. Let's come with the topic, because I don't have one. I have some, but I'm always open to other stuff. And if you have something, let's.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So thank you all for joining. Shedrick, Shedrick, Shedrick. Whatever, I know. Thank you for your comments. I'm surprised you were right here. Appreciate you. We will be again back next week, 8 p.m. If someone wants to moderate for the weeks that I miss, please feel free to talk to me. Let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about it. And a reminder, Chev and Ashley, you both have a topic that you all were supposed to be doing, and we're waiting on that. Okay. All right. Take care. Love you. Nina. Bye.